Hello, everybody. What in the heck are you doing watching us? This is episode 2 of What the Hell Happened Last Week, if last week is in this direction, I guess. My name is Robert Scrobe. I am joined by the amazing Sandy Lam out in, where are you? You're in Berlin. No, you're not in Berlin. Where are you?
No.
Well, geez, I didn't mean to cut a car. I mean, is Berlin a bad place, or is just it's too cold, or?
No, it's just because everyone only knows Berlin.
Oh, so you're in Leipzig, right?
Yeah. Did you just look it up?
I think so. Leipzig?
Well,
Leipzig.
depends on which region in Germany you are. They have different slangs. So I call it Leipzig. Yeah, different.
Oh, okay.
Some people say it Leipzig. Some call it differently.
I'll say Leipzig. It doesn't matter. You're just overseas. I'm over here in Dallas. We're here again for another episode. And again, a public disclaimer before we even start doing this and recording it. You should not be watching this. You should not even be listening to this.
This is our opening every single time.
Oh, I have to, because this is something where I'm trying I talked to Dana Public over just earlier today on the podcast, and I'm trying to employ some of her best practices by employing empathy. And I'm being very empathic when I say, please stop. This is harmful to your brain. This is something that is going to be something that you will tell your kids about in horror stories later on in the future. And if I can convince you at all to stop and try something different, like all the different choices you have right now to be entertained, stop. Just you're going to all the people that did listen last week wrote me in private an email in all capital letters and tons of curse words and said, this sucks. Why did you even turn on your microphone? I should have believed you in the first place. Don't be that crowd. Just stop.
Just stop.
Cut it out.
Did they stop? Are they still watching now?
I don't know. Do we have 6 viewers? I'm hoping it gets down to 5. It's 4. It worked. Okay. So I'll have to make the pitch. I'll just improve upon the pitch every week and just put in some lies, like it's watching this is the equivalent of contracting the coronavirus and perishing or something. Ooh. Okay, so what the hell happened last week, Sandy? Let's have you start. What in your world happened last week that was noteworthy?
It's not worthy.
Noteworthy. No. I want you to, yes, Sandy, I want you to basically tell everyone something that you don't care about. That's perfect content for this. Just tell them something that is terrible that you never want to see.
Hey, I think we should start with you.
Why me?
Why not?
All right, we'll start with me. Since I'm so incredibly important. Okay, so let's see. What the heck happened last week was that I went to a client. It was my first client meeting of the year, and it was for an enterprise. I can't say, I'm still seeking permission. I can't say what it was, but I was doing a presentation on virtual design sprint training, and they were going through a bit of a transformation. They wanted to optimize for results. So I came in for 3 hours, did a bunch of exercises. In fact, we walked through some of the templates that you had created for last November, and it worked out really well, I thought. There weren't a lot of boos. People talked to me afterwards. In fact, the conversation I had with one... Huh?
Do you realize something different now?
What? No, hang on. Wait a minute. Did you change something? Oh my God. All right. Fine. All right. This is a setup. So really, this is a setup. I see. How does everyone know that 6 people are on from before? Now I finally figured it out. Great. Okay. Sure. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Robert.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. And are you guys ready to get in the mural and get started?
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, are we all ready? Are we going to do it?
How many people?
Are we going to do 3? Are we going to do 2? Are we going to do 1? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Robert. Happy birthday
Hey, this is something that Zoom has to work on. That was totally uncoordinated. All the delays, like happy birthday.
So we're not making a band? Is that what I'm gathering?
I think we should the squiggle birds and other things to basically communicate with one another. But thank you for the birthday wishes, everybody. In fact, I feel obligated to kind of go in and say, all right, so who's all here? Well, happens to be Andy Davis, who I know here in native Texas, who's the weatherman for all the GVDS. You have the incomparable Haley Temple from Mural, somebody who's fantastic at presentations, who I've worked with in the past and done a podcast with. There's Ian Thorne, who has the thing that I remember most about him. He has a yellow background on his picture on LinkedIn. And he's one of the nicest guys. And you also think he has a bookcase because he's very knowledgeable and he always has that in the background. So there's that. There's Sandy Lam, who we already know about. There's Jerome or Heron from the Netherlands, I believe. Yes. Eindhoven. Yes. And he's all about town sprints and other stuff. There's all these people here. There's Mehmet, who is the incomparable in-person facilitator that I know. There's Susanna. I'm running out of things to say about people. At least there's so many people here. There's David Chin. David Chin's making a public appearance from Mural. Wow. I feel now I'm really honored. Are you there? Or is this just a name?
He's there.
All right, he's there. He's on mute, I think. Yeah, Micah, Mega. Yeah, you guys really shouldn't have taken the time to come out here to be part of this, but it's like, thank you very much. And now you are all witness to one of the worst broadcasts ever.
we're all part of what the hell happened last week.
Hey, that's true. Now we can make this expand on it. So instead of us opining about everything that funny that happened or interesting that happened last week, since we have all of you as a captive audience, if you want to come off mic and say something interesting that happened for you last week, what would it be? Maybe this is something interesting. So anyone besides me or Sandy, if there's something that happened last week that was really fascinating, interesting, that you want people to know about, please come off mic and let people know. Or I'm going to call a name. No one. All right. Andy, why don't you tell us something that happened great last week?
Oh gosh, something great that happened last week. I got to watch my son's varsity soccer games, and those are quite great.
Very nice. My son's starting up soccer February 28th, so I'll have I'm actually the head coach of that team. I don't know where we're going with things. I don't know why the parents have got me in a head coach position. It is probably like I'm disparaging about this broadcast. I am going to be equally as bad as a head coach. I won't shout, but it'll be like one of these things where the ball goes one way and the kids are going to circle like caterpillars all around it. So we'll see.
Yes. Hey, I have a request for everybody. My son has a yellow card problem. If everyone will just tell him no yellow cards, please. He's not going to make through the season.
Don't do this. You see this. This is something that your father does not appreciate. No yellow colors, please.
Yes.
I'm very glad you're here, Andy. It was good. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Micah Copens. What the heck? And by the way, I really, really do like the hairstyle. I've been seeing it change on LinkedIn every so often, but I really do like the look, especially with the red in the background.
This is what happened to me last week. That was exciting. New hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's something definitely I noticed. But anything going on with you that we should know about?
I'd say same old, still voice printing and doing all of the voice things, which is great. And yes, definitely a bit of a shout out to Alexander, the digital nomad, who gladly posted an interview and has been like super supportive when I get like these cases of Mr. Doubt and Mrs. Insecure coming to visit at home. So well, it's great to have a lot of people like support, and super thankful for all of you.
Cool. Very happy you're here. Alicia Ness, I haven't seen you since the last event we did where you were walking around with a computer and going, hey, everyone, this is what the steel case looks like. Here's this room. Here's these people. Here's the food you can't have. Here's all this.
No, I felt bad about the cupcakes that you guys didn't get to eat any of. But yes, hello. Something interesting happened to me last week. We had our go-to-market kickoff. So that's sales, customer experience, professional services, everybody who helps make our customers successful. And we pushed our own boundaries of how we think visually and practice what we preach. And we did it all in Mural. And it was really fun and really challenging. And it helped us prepare for the big news that we shared this week. So I don't know if it counts for this, but Mural got its Series A, $23 million.
That was very impressive.
We are super excited that we have so much of the community to thank for it, and for all you've done, Robert, as well. So happy birthday to you, and thank you for being such a great partner to our company.
I'm very glad you're here. And see, now that this proves my point. If outside of people coming here and wishing me happy birthday and giving their stories, my broadcast with Sandy would have been one of the worst experiences of your life. See, now I have actual proof that this is what I mean. It's like if I needed people to kind of support that. In fact, here's proof positive. I'm going to go to Suzanne Childers, who is someone that's head and shoulders more interesting than I or ever could be. And she's going to tell everybody what she's been doing, because I know she's pretty involved with some interesting stuff. So you can't fail now, Suzanne. Okay. Tell us something interesting.
Yeah, I've got 3 minutes till my next call, but something interesting that happened last week was I got to go to, so I live in North Carolina in the United States. I got to go co-facilitate a board retreat in the town of Nags Head in the Outer Banks. So coastal North Carolina, it was beautiful. And it's fun I work with a lot of companies, so it was fun to go and do live facilitation to help kind of this small town think big and come together. We use a lot of visual facilitation, help them connect in with their values to figure out where they want to go. And didn't get them all the way to strategic planning. There's sort of a focus on kind of the problems, fix the problems now kind of group. So we got them a little bit further out thinking strategically. So they still have issues, but I call that a win.
Yes, they're making progress in the right direction.
I felt like it. So, you can always do better, but I felt like it was a win because they said that was the most retreat-like thing we've ever done. So we did a little bit of visioning. So yeah, I'm going to say take that for the win.
Good.
That's awesome. I'm super proud.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to work out in the coastal, beautiful Outer Banks? If you ever want a vacation, it's a great place to go.
Start sending pictures and posting them on LinkedIn or Facebook so we know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I will. I'll post a couple. I put a couple up of my view. We had a beautiful view overlooking the bay. I'll post that back up. But hey, my phone's about to ring, but you all have a happy birthday. I'll look for the rest of this podcast later.
Thank you for coming by, Suzanne.
Happy
I appreciate
birthday.
it. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Marguerite Ousley, the one that doesn't have video on, that I'm wondering about and seeking, is it because you're not feeling well, or is it just because you don't have video available?
Yeah, and I have a poor connection, and I'm on my phone, not at home.
You sound like, yeah, I'm in a corner near the bus station. I'm hiding. You'll find me.
Kind of.
If you don't hear from me in 2 minutes from now, I'm call the police soon. Something's happened. So are you doing okay? What's been going on with you?
Yeah, I've been doing okay. Working on the startup. We have a new client, which is very exciting. That's probably the most exciting thing. But of course, now we have to figure out
who's going to do the work,
how to help them. Yes.
All right. Well, fair enough. Thank you for coming by and wishing me happy birthday. It was very kind of you.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Okay.
My pleasure.
No problem. Mehmet, I briefly touched upon your facilitation expertise, which is true. I wasn't just basically just kind of like saying, oh, he's great. You really do have some like native skill with that. But anyway, what happened to you last week that was noteworthy?
Yeah, last week I had a workshop with a couple of companies about design thinking meets a work out loud. It's a new form where people cross-company come together in order to tell what they are doing, share their experiences, and have a goal which they try to reach in 12 weeks. And it's very interesting. And I just thought, okay, well, maybe because they mentioned they had some challenges, they would like to tackle. I said, okay, well, why don't we discuss those challenges with a design thinking workshop? And then they really liked it. They started to post them on LinkedIn, and it got some pretty nice attention, I would say. Where I would like to somehow get also online workshops as well via Mural, and let's see where that leads then.
Very nice. Cool. So yeah, thank you for coming and wishing happy birthday. And sounds like you were doing see, the thing with you, Mehmet, is I always figure that every so often I don't hear from you much, but when I do see a post on LinkedIn, it's going to be, here's a shot of the picture of this and doing the workshop and doing this. Oh, and this is what I'm involved with. So I'm waiting for these like giant kind of like updates from you that basically are feature rich. So what you just described is essentially what I'm thinking is going to be popping up on LinkedIn eventually. So
awesome. Well, then it was really nice to see you guys, and then I'm really looking forward to work out loud experiment I'm doing, but also to see you in Team Alana, Robert.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we got that coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mehmet.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay. Head on. Hey, by the way, I think this is as good a time as any to let you know, both know, and Sandy already called it, that I can tell you way in advance that you two were the 2009 MVPs, co-MVPs of the GVDS. So both of you basically tied in terms of the amount of feedback you had gotten, but also the survey data also was aligned as well. So at some point in the future, the both of you are going to come on a podcast and we're basically going to talk about things a bit. But I might as well take this time to say congratulations to you both. This is like Sandy's second one in a row. So I thought that who is actually going to like make a claim for the throne, and look at it was Harold.
She remains a princess with blue hair.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's you gotta, here's the thing, Harold, you gotta give some accolades to yourself. You really went all out on this last one.
Yeah.
Whether it was the demos for the talent sprint, it was the incredible GVDS on air that you created. I still have to create the LinkedIn post that kind of outlines everything you had done. It's probably going to be a part 2 to it. But you really knocked it out of the park last November. I think more people need to know about how much work and effort you put into that thing.
Well, I appreciate it, but it cannot be done with the inspiration from you and many of the other people that were participating. And I saw it as an opportunity. So I grasped it with both hands again, like I did in April, but definitely in November. And who knows what's the future holds in that context. So I love the movement that you have started.
Yeah. And well, glad to help, but if you wanted a comparison, it's pretty much you dominated the game like LeBron in his prime. So it was impressive, to say the least.
For me, it's not about winning; it's about contributing. But it's nice that this is upcoming. So thank you for that.
So now that we've kind of put you on a pedestal, you're going to have to impress us on what happened last week.
Actually, I just looked at my agenda to actually remind what happening was last week. And
I am doing the same thing. So
and it's the sensation I had. It was all blank. It was a really strange week. I had one event in the afternoon with students, but that was all. And for the rest, it was, let's say, desk work, virtually collaborating, investing into the near future. So I've done so much last week in terms of preparing for all the things that are coming, also related to virtual design sprinting and the initiatives that we're taking over here. Mm-hmm. It's like it now needs to start rolling the ball in the coming weeks. But last week was really about all homework and preparing and deep diving on many other things. Of course, working with Mehmet and with Tom, with a few others on other initiatives, with Sabrina again. But that was all on the fly. So it was a strange week. It's not that there was a highlight. I think one thing that might be interesting to know is that last week, Monday, for Virtual Design Sprints Europe that we're trying to launch in the preparation, we set ourselves a target to have 100 registrations by the end of next week. We actually passed it today already.
Wow.
So it's amazing to see the momentum that it's creating, and it really stimulates Mehmet and myself, and now more and more people teaming up also to contribute. From Alex in Germany, I got friends in France now helping out. Australia always believes they're part of Europe, so that's nice. So yeah, they all also participate in the European Song Contest. So that's why we always welcome Australians as part of Europe. So it is amazing to see how with an empty agenda you can achieve a lot in 1 week. And I hope to have a few more of those weeks this year, but looking forward to the next week already.
And the thing that you have to your advantage is that, especially in Europe, there's more of a understanding of what the process is, or more of an exploration of that. So I think you have a lot of things going in your favor, especially with like the momentum of what this is and people seeing it as like a viable option to do workshops and other engagements. You know that we're going to be working together on it, but when you first kind of put that out there, I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. It's like kind of being closer to the fire with the organization of it. Now it's just a matter of doing what seems to make sense and bringing things together.
Yeah, that's nice. And I think what happened last week as well is that with Wout from Mural and also with Adriana in Amsterdam, we actually were able to really consolidate a first physical meetup of virtual design sprint participants. And we have announced it yesterday. People are lining up to join. And actually what surprises me, and I'm really feel intrigued by it as well, that people are coming to Amsterdam, not from 50 kilometers distance, but from all across Europe. So people want to show up in person for a virtual design meetup that we're organizing in Amsterdam at the end of February.
Wow.
So people are booking their tickets, people are booking their train tickets. So for a 2.5-hour meetup, but I think, Robert, you have started something that is more than just a membership of the GVDS. I think it is becoming an alumni association. It's what you call the referral network. It connects people, and apparently there's the need to meet up in person as well. So yes, we will be welcoming Sandy in Amsterdam on the 20th. But I got already intents from 2-3 other people from across Europe to also come into Amsterdam for that one evening meeting that we're organizing there, and hopefully you will be showing up as well.
It feels like a nascent community starting to coming on, but it's really going to be driven by people that are kind of oriented towards that, like yourself, Mehmet, Ian, and other people. So, I mean, we'll just keep on going with this to see where it goes. And as long as, to your point, to things that you said in the past over and over again, as long as we're supporting each other, we're kind of have our intent in the right place with kind of helping people find new ways of getting to whatever they want to get to with process. And just meeting one another outside of what we do online. I mean, there's a lot of potential with it. I think that you guys are the right people to kind of like at least spearhead it and an initiative and then see where it goes.
Okay. Hey, I'll leave you to your weekly podcast. I really want to hear what's going on there. Keep up the good work, keep up the good fun. And I look forward to following the live stream till the top of the hour, because then we're starting the preparation of an iteration sprint here from Europe.
Yeah.
So Sandy, if you still have time later tonight, we're more than welcome to join us in the other call as well. Take care. Robert,
right.
happy 50.
All right. Thank you. See you around. Well, Sandy, where do we go from here? You arranged this, and now it's like, okay, we did the MVP announcement. There was people from Europe. I mean, that's like there were over 18 people at one point on the Zoom, and now it's back to you, me, and I think Marguerite's still here, correct? Or is she still here? Yeah, she's still hanging out.
Sorry, yeah. Although I'm interacting with other people, so I'm afraid I have to leave. But
that's
again,
fine.
Happy birthday.
That's fine.
And thanks, Sandy.
Thank you very much, Marguerite. Take care.
Bye, guys.
See you.
Bye.
Maybe this even though you said so, Sam, let's start with the beginning. Thank you so much for organizing this. I know that was you, and you were having something that's like, don't tell Robert. This feels a lot like what happened last summer with going to France, but this is different in that you had invited other people to wish happy birthday. So thank you for that. That was very kind of you to do that.
No worries.
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask millions of people, but they don't need to come. So yeah, it's you that is making it happen.
It's still very kind of you to do. So I do appreciate it. But
well, it's not just me whom also helped out. I'm not saying his name right.
we have to find new inventive ways. Every time we say his name, it's gonna be different. We'll call him Jeroni.
Yeah, Jeroni.
Jeroni. No, I don't want to insult him. So we'll just call him JF. No, that doesn't work. We'll have to figure it out. Head on.
Yeah. So I just told him the idea. Actually, I just told him that you have birthday tomorrow. Well, I told him yesterday actually that you have birthday today, and then he typed it the same time that I was writing to him, say, hey, let's just crash this podcast. And then we were like having this exactly the same idea. And he just went out and set up like a Slack channel and then group everyone. And yeah, just less than 24 hours, we got 18 people joined.
So here's a thought, and I mean, this is something we're just starting out just to have fun with it. But what if there was this component where we actually had an open invite to people to join the podcast to say what the hell happened last week? Some of them just basically give like status updates, but maybe it's something that's coming up that was significant that has future. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it's kind of fun to have people come in to just basically like conversate with besides us. So maybe there's an opportunity to do that. Who knows? By the way, I have to go in a different direction with this conversation. In the edits that you did, which were fantastic, those edits you did with Pulp Fiction, it was phenomenal. I saw that and I was like, oh my God. All right, so two questions, I guess. The first is, what did you use to edit that? Did you what software? The second is where you cut out all of the space in between what one person said versus when there was silence and then they said again. Did you use that same software to do that? And if so, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I use Adobe Premiere. Comes with Adobe Creative Suite.
Okay.
So yeah, I just cut out all the stuffs manually and insert screenshots, video clips, and things that I didn't know, like the like the Pulp Fiction moments that I had no idea what that was. So
you've never seen that movie before?
No.
Wow. Okay. That
never heard of
blows my mind.
But but I'm not like I don't watch that many movies. I only watch animation. So
which types of animation do you watch?
Like Toy Stories, Monster Inc., that kind of stuff.
What was the second one?
The only ones. Monster Inc.
Oh, so like kind of like Disney, Pixar kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but not anything like anime or anything related to like old style anime that back in the day or anything like that. It's mostly that kind of level of animation.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
So
nothing wrong with it.
I only I really enjoy like looking at how they do the 3D, like make something that is not even real to be real. Like they told, like it's not even effect in a way. It's like they just make this whole thing up and looks like so realistic. So I like that.
So what have you ever heard of Miyazaki? Hiro Miyazaki.
I've heard of the name.
He's the guy that did Spirited Away. He's renowned for doing everything by hand in terms of his animations. He did Totoro. I mean, he has
I know.
He has a whole library of different videos he's done in the past, or sorry, videos of animations. And I probably slaughtered his name in the very beginning, but if you're not familiar with his stuff, there are a few films that he has they're really good stories, and that you can tell that they're all hand drawn. I think Disney animators were really looked up to for a long period of time. So
yeah, I know who you're talking about. I've watched a few of them too. So
okay, so I should shut up and stop talking about it. Okay.
No, but those are the stuff that I used to watch when I was a child, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's still like I was still in Hong Kong those times, and that's what we do.
Got it. Well, I mean, if it was entertaining, then all the better.
Yeah. So what were you actually talking about at the beginning? I was like totally off track. I was not even listening when people were joining.
So what you're saying, it really wasn't that important. All I said is like, I went to a client meeting on Tuesday, and it was about virtual design sprints. And the person who contacted me about it had read a article by Justin Mertz, who conducted his own virtual design sprint and wrote about it. And in that, the commentary in that article, I said, thank Robert for guiding me. And I talked with him a bit on what he wanted to do. But this person reached out after that recording or after that reading the article and said, hey, I want you to come in and do this. So I said, okay. Ended up being a presentation with about 20, 25 people. And you saw the mural I had shared. It was pretty much telling them what I knew about what design sprints were all about, where I think it's going, how to implement it on the enterprise. And I have 2 follow-ups with them in February and March. It was a pretty good conversation. Nice. I'm going to be sharing a lot of the content out when, just a matter of time. But yeah, that was interesting. Because it when you're able to do work for a client based on what they do, you start to sense what they get, what they understand about your value, what you bring to the table. And then you just reframe your marketing towards that more so, because it's like, oh, well, to make an analogy, I caught a fish with that feed. So perhaps I need to put more of that out there and see if I get similar types of interest, right? Especially for a solopreneur, that's something where I felt my marketing was going to attract a certain type of customer, when really,
yeah, for sure, the
impression is going to be for something different. So yeah, that was what happened last Tuesday. And then other stuff like now I won't even get into that, but there was some other things that happened. We did. Oh, one thing I can mention is that we had our first informational interview on the referral network, which was really interesting because they were very open about what they were looking for, and the questions that people asked were really involved, and they appreciated it. But what this company wanted was a captive audience that would either apply or ask questions, which was interesting because I thought, okay, this is just to see what came out of it and what they thought was valuable, which they did. But not a lot of people had the time to be there at that time that they were going to be, but we're going to watch the recording. So it was interesting that it had that expectation dynamic of having a captive audience that was specific to that particular that job offering, because what it did is it was something that they felt could replace their time that they would take to screen everything. Does that make sense? Like they wouldn't have to do as much cognitive searching around the proper candidate they were looking for based on this interaction they were having in the informational interview. So that was an interesting learning. It also makes me rethink talent sprints a little bit, in that there's a multi-stage impression and engagement phase that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that could speak to kind of farming a bit and figuring out who would maybe be interested, and then depending on who applies and who inquires, the person that's looking for the talent would say, hey, we really like these folks. Instead of giving them an assignment they do in 72 hours, we'd like them to be part of your next talent sprint, and give them something to work on that would showcase these particular aspects of what they do. So then
I think that concept is very effective, actually. So you don't only rely on the resume, you don't only like listen to what they say, so you actually can sense, you can feel, you can interact with this person much better.
It has some logistic issues. Like it would need to kind of be coordinated so that the expectation of the person that would be part of the talent sprint was that there's going to be companies that are going to be watching your performance, but they have the option of either saying this I don't want this to go I don't want them to look at this wasn't something I'm proud of, versus something where they felt like that their work was kind of generative of who they are. So there's a little bit of that, because you don't want somebody who, for whatever reason, has a bad week, and then the company sees that and goes, we really don't want them. It's that fine balance of figuring that they're going to be kind of put under a microscope and wanting to have everything perfect so that they give the right impression. That's the kind of the thing about this that may be tricky if you let people know up front that they're being watched. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I think that's not, like, when I was discussing with Jerome also, like he mentioned that it's not like they wouldn't really give them the feeling that they were going to be watched. Like it's more they interact with the people, and then they have this profile, and then if they end up wanting to apply for a job, then now they have something that they can use. So.
Yeah, to your point, they basically forget that that's actually happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool, I thought. Yeah. Well, talking about jobs, the last week I thought it was quite interesting because I got 2 people approached me asking me to help them with their portfolios. It never really happened before. I mean, friends, kind of did that before, but more just because we were already talking with each other. But this time was a little bit different because they were specifically looking for me to help them in a way. And I thought it was quite interesting and made me think of like how I could really also improve on my portfolio. That could be something that maybe you have any advice on that, because right now my portfolio is very how do I put it, very like I was normally like in my portfolio I showcase a lot of what my visual work, like my app design, website design and things like that. But I feel like if I want to improve on the portfolio, I want to go into a little bit different direction, because in the last year or so I have changed my my work a lot. So I'm not really only focusing on creating, I'm also focusing a lot on more like strategic planning, facilitating. And I feel like these kind of soft skills are very, very hard to showcase in a portfolio. And I'm not quite sure how I can really do that. Like if I just show pictures of workshops, it really literally means nothing to people.
Yes. I'm of the opinion that portfolios are kind of like art museums. They're nice to walk through, but they don't really tell someone what you currently do now. They're more of an historical narrative of what you've experienced. And when people are considering you for an opportunity or employment, they want to know what you're doing right now. They want to know what they're investing in, not what you've done. And it's a weird kind of the portfolio seems to be a proving ground to showcase, okay, I can do these skills. And most people don't take more than 6 to 8 seconds to look at it. They really just want to see if there's they really want to see if there's anything in that portfolio that would stop them from even considering you for employment. So really it's
pretty much true.
Yeah, it's something where it's actually not in your best interest to do a portfolio. I think the better approach is something that Gary Vee has said that has worked like tremendously for me, is that you transform your PR into, like, you transform yourself into a media company. It's the best form of PR that you have, because if people want to know more about you, what do? They type in Sandy Lam in Google, or they look at LinkedIn and they look at your activity to see what you look at, or they see where you're posting or what you put in, because they're going to basically follow that trail, that breadcrumb trail, to figure out what you're all about. I do the same thing when I'm adding LinkedIn profiles. But point being, you become your own media company so that it's less about your portfolio, and it's definitely less than your resume, because your resume is nothing but a glorified PR version of yourself. That's not true.
Yeah.
It's creative writing, and I think more. I will look forward to the day when the resume is no longer considered a viable piece of information, because it's not. It's like advertising online; just doesn't have any truth to it.
Yeah.
I think the better route to take is to really start practicing on all of these different social platforms, figuring out what you gravitate towards and what you like to do, and maybe what you don't like to do, and start.
Yeah, but in the end, like companies still ask, like especially for creative field, they still always ask for a portfolio. So it's like, like I think I also agree, presenting yourself on social media is very important, like writing Medium articles and all that stuff. But at the same time, when someone really applies for a job, you can't really just send them a whole bunch of social media links. At least it's not working like that at this moment, I feel like.
Well, if the ask is to ask for a body of work, which is what they're really asking for, and then they're asking for, we want to make sure that you are who you say you are. You could very much do something. Here's a good way of doing it. There's a online magazine called an online publishing house called Smashing Magazine, and for years they used to curate desktop wallpaper that was submitted by the general public, the people who wrote themselves. Artists from all over the world would submit their wallpaper, and every month it would be different. Some would get in, some wouldn't. It was all basically editorial staff that would pick it. So one thing that I've seen people do is that instead of having a portfolio, they have like, here's my recent work, and they do it quarterly, and they just basically showcase not only the imagery but the pictures, and the stories behind them. So it becomes like a kind of like a read. And if you want to show, usually when you send a portfolio, it's digitally, they'll say like, sandylam.com/my portfolio or something. But instead, you send them a Medium article. It says, here's my work from like Q1, the projects Q4 2019, or some theme to it. And then that becomes like kind of like a running list of things that you've done recently and your perspective on them. And it's much more telling because A, it's current, B, it has your point of view, and C is you can even include there like what I learned from this, like what am I going to do differently next time. And it's a much better option to do storytelling that way than you would if you were trying to present a bunch of stuff that is either what you are interested in or may not necessarily reflect your best work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So one of the portfolios that I was looking at this week, actually, she had few different use cases, and she actually presented as like a storytelling, and I thought it was quite good. But at the same time, I was wondering if people are really going to spend the time to really read like a story like that, because I also had the position before that I was reviewing people's portfolio to hire for hiring. But for me, I was just like flipping through the stuff. I didn't even like it. I just needed the first impression, and I wasn't really spending time to really look at anything details because it just doesn't work like that for me anyway. And same as my coworker before, who was also trying to hire, and
it's tricky because everyone's going to have a different approach to portfolios. Some will consider them the Bible of what you're capable of and where you can go, and they will use that as a religious text. Other people will see that as a measurement of their own perception of what good design is, and they may be a good designer or a bad designer, but they're going to evaluate you on that. And maybe they're going to use their cognitive biases to say like, okay, I really like the Bauhaus style of this person, or I really like the fact that this has 3D modeling in it. And for someone else, they may look at the 3D modeling and go, that's great, but that's not us, right? So you're really, portfolios are crapshoots. You may get the right impression, you may not. So if someone is investing that, is weighing their performance on that, or as a dimension of it, I don't know. I'm just, maybe it's me being old at 50, or maybe it's just it's just my perspective. But I never put any value in portfolios. In fact, when I was a hiring manager, I used to give my portfolios to my designers and saying, "Is there anything here that could give you pause?" And I would concentrate on something different. I would concentrate as a servant leader on, if I hired this person, do I see a path where they could grow, where they can become a better version of themselves, where I can set them up for success, where I can give them training? Can I pair them with the right person? Is there somebody that seems to really gravitate to their portfolio and see some potential in there? If I started seeing all the pieces fit together, then I can bank that this person probably is in a good place. But I really brought my staff in all the time for hiring, and I got I made it so that they would listen in on phone calls and when we use Q&A, and people would tell me in surveys and other things like whether or not they thought somebody was up to speed. So I used the power of like the audience, like the wisdom of crowds, so to speak, to basically help make those decisions, even though it was mine to begin with. But yeah, for me, this is just me, not everyone else. I don't think people should put emphasis on portfolios. I think they should put an emphasis on their brand, on their reputation, on their work ethic, on what they do, because I really do believe it, because I've seen the results. If you spend more time in that space and being a communicator and being a practitioner and concentrating on your zone and what you do well and putting a laser focus on that and doing it, you will get people that will identify what you can do well and seek you out for that rather than a portfolio. Somebody, true. I'll say this, I'll be bold. Somebody who asks for a portfolio is a lazy employer.
But it's still the standard for...
That should give you pause that they are somebody that's going to be just as lazy when it comes to your professional development. That should be a red flag.
Yeah, but I think it's two different things. Like one is if you're applying for a job or if someone is looking or reaching out to you. So that's two different approach. But what has really worked for me is I was at least for my application, I have a very bold quote from my previous performance review. And I literally like put that right in front, like that's the first thing they will see on the cover letter. And I think that actually make an impact when I was applying for a job before.
I'm going to go on a limb too. Since I'm feeling bold and audacious in my old age and probably delusional, I'm going to start adopting these things now for whatever reason. I think performance reviews are okay. I'll be bold. I think they're harmful. I think that people always want to find out how they're doing, but I don't think a performance review is the right place because it's a measurement. Sometimes the dynamics that you have to grade on a bell curve where some people are going to be losers, some people are going to be winners, and it can be perceived as a personality contest where people like certain people more than others, and it's really not a measurement of whether or not your own learning curve is being achieved. I think that performance review should be something where they're either out of the functional manager's purview or that they are measured by some metrics that are business centric and not necessarily whether or not somebody puts something on time. I think that the performance review should be one where you're taking a critical look at how somebody's grown and whether or not they've been given the chance to grow in a certain fashion and whether or not they're self-aware that they need to improve on certain things, soft skills, hard skills, certain things that like emotional intelligence, things that are going to carry with them even beyond their current engagement. I think that's much more important to kind of put a focus on and to really work with somebody on that. And I think it's appreciated more. To Dana Publicover's point about being empathetic, that's the way to go, and not necessarily rush to judgment and figuring out where you can basically take things. Then performance reviews should be elevated to the department level. How did the department do in relation to everything else in the company that's trying to basically either make a revenue or a market share or anything else? What was the impact that this department did? Because then it's not about individual work, it's about the collective. And then you hold leadership responsible in a way that seems much more constructive.
Interesting. Well, I'm having my performance review on Monday, so let's
good
see
luck.
How it goes.
I mean, you know me. I would sit there and just basically go, yeah, I'm here for Sandy Lam. I am not her lawyer, but I am a representative of her brand. So if there's anything in this performance review that goes counter to that, I am here to defend that reputation. So please proceed. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And they'll probably go, okay.
I actually request that because I don't know, like I feel like I want to hear more about, because maybe there's not enough feedback I've been getting, or at least I don't hear a lot of not so good stuff yet. And I feel like I'm kind of stuck to find out how I can grow in a way. So I want to know what I have been not doing so well that I can improve on.
So what do you think you need to improve on?
That's the question. I mean, there are some personal growth things that I kind of know that what I wanted to do. But in terms of work here, yeah, I don't quite know.
So
I'm not getting a lot of feedback on that.
Maybe you should, I mean, I don't know your situation with work, but maybe it's something where if you want to have that perspective from someone, you could ask the questions like, they may, when they answer, they may be guessing. That's why I went back to what you want to do, because whether it's this employer or future employer, you want to be more comfortable in your own skin when it comes to being a professional. So what do you feel like you could bone up on that you would really like to do? What is it? Is it communication? Is it not understanding your tools? What exactly could it be? You have, I mean, you know me, I'll see the capability in anybody, but I think that you've got a lot of things going for you, and you're going through the right motions, like, and just in general. But if there's something missing, then it's a matter of saying, self-declaring and saying, I'd like to explore this because I get a gut feeling that I could probably work on this. And then if you come from a perspective of self-evaluation, then you could get the data from other people and see if they see the same thing, because then it's no longer them trying to project on their opinions onto you. Now it's your person saying, I got a feeling that I probably need to work on my presentation skills, right? Or it's something where I seem to be really good at this, but my Achilles heel seems to be this, and I'm wondering if I need to help from someone or if I need to improve on this. Then you go to someone else and see what they say, because then you're kind of figuring out if if what they tell you seems to jive with it, or is it a new piece of information? Does that make sense? So it's less about someone kind of dictating what you should do. You take control of your own kind of development and say, I think I want to explore this. You may be right or wrong, but at least you are the person that's doing it, and not someone else outside of you telling you what to do.
Yeah, I think also because I just finished the book, Radical Candor, and I kind of want to try some of the techniques there as well.
I'll tell you, Radical Candor by Kim Scott.
Yeah,
that I started employing the tenets in that book, and I think that was the beginning of when I decided to leave my full-time employer. because in corporate environments, people like normalcy. There's a joke about corporations where there's a what do you call it, a corporate immune system that wants to make sure that everything there's no radicals, there's no like difference of opinion, there's regularity, so that the business can count on things being normal and delivering and hitting due dates and everything copacetic, and the stockholders are happy. They don't want anything out of the ordinary happening. So when I started to rock the boat around, if this project is really going to work, it has to be this. And I told a couple of people that they were dialing it in. They didn't like that. They were politically connected to other people. And it started a ball rolling where people outside of where I was, I started seeing my reputation take a hit internally, where I wasn't this team player. Now it was somebody who was actually pointing out people's warts and kind of doing like, you kind of need to shape it up. The funny thing was, for that situation, this stuff was already known by the environment. It was already known by several people. There were some people that should never have been hired by that employer. Yet there was one person that said, oh yeah, come on in, you can do it. And that person ended up being a terrible employee. Not terrible in the sense that they were a bad person, but performance-wise, they were crap. But no one wanted to rock the boat. And so I said, oh, Radical Candor, you suck. You got to do better. And all of a sudden they're like, no, because it's their job. It's their family. They got to provide for kids. There's so many things tying to it that nobody really wants to take a critical view on things, because there's so much at stake for somebody else. So yeah, the Radical Candor is a nice book, and you want to be straightforward, but there's a time and place for everything. And for me, when I tried employing it as a servant leader, it was counterintuitive. And for that environment, it didn't work too well.
I see. Okay, gotta be careful.
Word of caution from the old man in front of the podcast.
But I thought it was a very interesting book. Like, I really like the techniques that it was telling, and it's very tangible in a way, and like gives you different steps what you can try for yourself. But she also mentioned like not everything is going to work for the same people. So
there's a part of Radical Candor that I think would really work for you, knowing who you are, where there's a dimension of your professional sense where you're very straightforward. You're very like kind of, this is what it is and this is that. And I've seen it in your facilitation. Not that you mean to be mean or caustic or anything like that, but you tend to gravitate to just saying, okay, this is this is that, this is this is that. Right? And I'll say this, radical candor is best practiced by people who know you, because they will tell you whether or not the way you're trying out your approach to communication is coming across in its intent versus something that may be misinterpreted. So if you do decide to kind of practice this a bit, do it with people that know you fairly well. Does that make sense?
Good advice. Yes.
Yeah. Not with your boss. Definitely not with your boss. That's easy. They're just not prepared for that. They would just want to go home to their kid and say, like, yeah, what the hell happened to Sandy? She told me that, like, I dressed terribly. I don't know what's going on. I look
well, my
bad?
boss is pretty open to feedback. So
yes, I, from what you told me, I think you're the person you report to is a very open, accepting person, and hopefully they'll continue to be that way.
Yeah, I always feel lucky that way. So
well, yeah,
no, seriously, like it's not that easy to find bosses that would be open to trying experiment things and just kind of let you do your thing.
I just talked to somebody just before we got. I was saying this in Slack. I was just talking to somebody who left a corporate job to work for a startup, and the CEO of that company ended up being a real a-hole, and she was out in 3.5 weeks. And the situation with that one is that the guy wanted her to sign a voluntary leave of employment without him having to fire her. And this guy sounded like he was a piece of work, but you could be in that situation, all the stress that's involved with that. So yeah, there are worse situations out there. So thankfully you have that one. Yeah. This went in a completely different direction than what happened last week, but it was a good one. I liked it. What do you think, Sam? Am I you know what? I think for a 50-year-old now, I'm fitting the role of being like a rambler. I think I'm now on a perfectly fine platform where you can give radical candor and go, Robert. No, stop. Shut up. Nobody, there are 0 viewers on the podcast. Don't stop. It's like, go get a sock puppet, put some eyes on it and talk to yourself. Don't pepper people with crap that doesn't matter. So anyway.
Hey, did you see that Spotify pets thing?
No, I did not.
They created this new so literally you can go to this Spotify website, but I think it's pet.spotify or something. Well, Google it. It literally will open a website and then you can choose what pet you have. And then you can put the name, how energetic this pet normally is, what you want to, like if you want to calm down this pet or if you want to give this pet more energy, and it will generate a playlist for your pet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I gotta check that out because I have a Shih Tzu, so I have a dog that has no front teeth, so he's always like this, like constantly. Now I gotta figure out what's, and it's probably gonna be all like mellow sleeping, like atmospheric music, because all that dog does is nap all day long.
It's just sleep.
Yes, he's cute. I mean, she's cute when she sleeps, but that's okay. All right, Sandy, I know it's late there, so good talking to you again, and thank you for the surprise birthday gift. That was yeah, I won't forget that. That was very kind of you. That now I think of you in a different light where I don't hate you as much as I used to.
Thank you for that.
No, I'm just cautiously annoyed. Anyway, so we'll do this same time next week unless you have a conflict, and let's explore the idea.
Next week I will be in Vancouver, so we will figure out another time, I think.
So let's offline. Let's explore the possibility of making this like a thing where we can open it up to people that want to join us and let us know what happened last week. So it's not just kind of us. It's fine if it's just us, but maybe there's interest in doing a little bit of Q&A with people that are like, yeah, this happened last week, and this is that, and this is this, and maybe they can go, okay, and I'm going to be doing this. So we get to know more about what's happening, right?
Yeah. Sure. Let's experiment it.
Or go offline, shoot it down, and tell me that I never should bring up these ideas.
You just said it online,
Yes,
like everyone heard it, and then it doesn't happen next week. Then they know that it's me.
Then yeah, or they know that I'm basically like, you know, I was just, you know, egging people on, and I really didn't want their opinion because I really do. People not watch this never. Okay. Anyway, Sandy, thanks again. Have a good night. Thanks to the one person out in Nova Scotia that's watching us and has fallen asleep. I'm just guessing. And I have to now go and answer 3,000 Facebook messages about my birthday and see all the people I haven't saw in a while.
Fun.
Yes, it will be. My fingers, I'm going to definitely need these gloves. So take care of yourself, Sandy, and we'll see you next week when you're in Vancouver, okay?
Yes, see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.